It's a real pleasure to be here. And I'm very, very sorry I wasn't here yesterday. I was in Amsterdam yesterday, so I've just come whoosh around the world very quickly. I came in last night, and I'm feeling good now. And I'm relying on your energy to keep me going all day. I don't think that's going to be a problem from what I've seen already. You already start with nightclub dancing music in the morning, so I can only imagine where you get to by the evening. I have a lot to talk about. I have too much to talk about. And I was debating, should I slow down and talk about 2 or 3 things in depth, or should I talk about 50 things quickly? And I decided to go with the 50 things. So I'm going to cover a lot of bits and pieces to give you an overview of all of the things that are happening around the Moodle project. And I hope each of you gets 2 or 3 things from it, maybe different things. And if you have any more, if you want to follow up, we have all day. Come and find me. As well as photographs, I also speak, and we can actually talk about some of this stuff. I really want to talk with you. So, first of all, I want to get to know you a bit. This is the first time I've ever been in the Philippines, and I'm very, very happy that the team have built this MoodleMoot and that I can be here. So, how many people here are like teachers? You actually teach? Can I have some hands? So I'm seeing about 50, 60%. Okay, how many people are more like administrators? So you run things, you're managers. You can see maybe 10, 20%. How many people here are students? Any students? Obviously, we're all lifelong students, but like who is actually enrolled as a student somewhere? Okay, 3, 4 people. Good for you. How many people are at university? Mostly at universities. Okay, I'm seeing about half of you. How many people are in school, like K to 12, high school, secondary school, primary school? Okay, it's not so many of you. 5, that's normal at a MoodleMoot, because they're usually too busy to come to conferences. How many people here do learning in a workplace context? So mostly your e-learning is about being in a company or a business or something like that. Okay, 5 or 10 of you. Okay. How many people here are just here for the food? Okay. All right, good. I heard it was good, according to Twitter. All right, well, that's you. So I'll talk a little bit about me. I don't always go through this, but because it's my first time here. So I come from the same time zone. This is really good that we're in the same time zone, from Perth, Western Australia. And I grew up here in the middle of Australia, which is a desert. It's pretty much sand and some animals, and it's beautiful, actually, beautiful place. And that's me as a baby. On the only grass, that's me and my parents. You can sort of see what it's like out there. That's my pet kangaroo. I had a few pet kangaroos. That's me. There's a lot of flies in Australia, so we're too often wear things like that. Once a year, only once a year it would rain, and then everything would be green. That's my father when he was young, and next to him here is a shortwave radio, and that's what I used to do my school. So until I was 12, all of my school was on a shortwave radio. So I'm 48 now, so we're talking about 16 years ago, 36 years ago, is when I left. And those red dots are about the size of my classroom. And that's about the size of Spain. That's the size of the classroom that I was in. And my homework would come as pieces of paper on an aeroplane every 2 weeks. And I would do worksheets and things and send my homework back to my teacher. So it was like about a 1 month turnaround time on assignments. And it's kind of what it looks like. It's very, very remote. All right, so a bunch of stuff happened after that, and I started Moodle. I think you might have heard some of that story yesterday from Stuart, maybe, I don't know. But here we are today. We want to help them improve our world, and I'll explain that in a minute. The vision is to make the most effective platform for learning. That's our vision, the long-term, what we're working on. Right? We want to make it the most effective. So why exactly is this our vision and mission? Well, look, as a planet, the world, we're doing some okay things. In the last 200 years, extreme poverty used to be, 200 years ago, 94% of people in the world were in extreme poverty. Now it's 10%. It used to be that 43% of people would die before they were 5 years old. Now, that's 4%. That seems like an improvement. Still 4% of our children are dying before 5, but, it's an improvement. Basic education. Only 14% of people in the world have no education. It used to be worse. 50% of the world has a democracy where people have some ability to influence their own government. That used to be less. However, the UN and UNESCO and these intergovernmental bodies have said, okay, there are some basic things we're doing okay, but we still have big challenges in the world to solve. And they've identified 17 sustainable development goals for the planet. So who's familiar with these goals? Has anyone got some hands? Anyone seen this before? I think every slide, every presentation pretty much, or every company should use this slide. Because this is like the roadmap for the planet, right? And this is what we have to do to make the planet an okay place. Not a fantastic place, just sustainable, just a good place. So there are things in here, I'll go through a bit more of a summary. So there are things talking about inequality. In most parts of the world, inequality is getting worse. The rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer, the difference is getting worse. There's also inequality between male and female, inequalities between all different types of people in our society. These are things that are getting sometimes worse. Climate change, obviously a massive issue. It's very easy not to think about climate change because all of us, we only see our local environment. But all the statistics are showing massive problems here. Food and water security. Just being able to drink water is an issue for many people. A lot of the problems in Syria can be traced back to a lack of food and water security caused by climate change, which makes people move, which makes people who don't usually live together have to start living together, which causes friction, which causes wars, which causes etc., etc. And as a result, now we have refugees. We have 65 million people are refugees, people who don't have a home. And this number is increasing. We are all using the internet more and more. All of us have got these devices. Do we know with certainty that that data is private? You had a talk yesterday, I believe. No, we don't. A lot of this stuff is controlled by people who we don't know. Companies, other things are controlling this data. There are wars out there. There are hackers out there. If you get into this stuff, and I do, it's a scary place of espionage and counter-espionage and all kinds of things are happening with our data. And we as people need to start taking control. And there's some good movements here, but there's a lot of work to do. Automation. We are automating our jobs more and more. And sometimes it's with robots, and sometimes it's with software robots. But people's jobs are being replaced. Are we ensuring that those people who are losing their jobs will have a job in the economy in the future. We don't always make those plans. The people who are taking the jobs away are not necessarily making new jobs themselves. The quality of healthcare around the world is really up and down. Some places it's good and cheap, some places it's very, very expensive or doesn't exist. This could be Africa, this could also be the US. The damage we're doing to our environment, okay? So these are all the big problems that we have to look at. And the only way I can see to solve those problems is no company is going to say, oh, here's the solution. No government is going to say, here's the solution. We need the whole planet, the whole generation of us, to be these kinds of people, in my opinion. So we need people who are thinking globally, not just my city or my country only, but like globally, to be aware of multi-cultures. So we're not saying, oh, I don't like those people across the water, across the street. That you be aware of cultures, be accepting of different cultures. We need to be environmentalists. We need to be aware of our impact on the planet. When we are going to the supermarket and buying things, to be aware of where that comes from and what is the impact. And we need to be caring people who actually care. Not just worrying only about our own survival, but the survival of everyone around us. And we need to be citizens. And a citizen is somebody who, it's not just because they vote. A citizen is someone who says, hey, I think I can make a difference. I think I can help. I want to get organized. I want to join other groups that are doing things. I was just hearing about Rotary earlier. This is a good example of an organization of individuals who've come together to do exactly these things. So how do we build that? The only way we get all those people is through quality education. It's the only way, right? You can't have a whole change of a generation of people without quality education. Quality is the key word there. It can't be education just here's how you, how you spell some words or anything. Obviously reading is important, but you need the whole picture. You need people to be inspired. The thing is with education is that education, even though it's number 4, actually impacts every single one. All of these things are impacted by education. And that's why I work in education. And that's probably why some of you also work in education, because you know it's actually what drives everything. So that's why that's our mission, okay? That's why we're doing this. And that's why we have this vision. And behind that, we have values. The values of Moodle are these 5 things. These are the values of the Moodle company, but really I would like to say they're the values of the whole community. So we value education. We treat education as a value. We look for education everywhere. This is an education situation. Later on, I'm going to have some one-on-one talks with you. This will also be an education situation where you're going to teach me some things. We will all be learning. We're all learning together all the time. Openness. I saw a lovely definition of openness yesterday in Amsterdam, and it was openness means everyone is responsible. This is a nice definition. Everyone is responsible. Just think about that. But we try and be open as much as we possibly can with everything. Respect for other people, other cultures, respect for competitors, respect for everything. It's all good. Integrity. So we try and do the same things right through the system. The same things we're saying on a marketing should match what we're doing in the office. And innovation. The Moodle project and a lot of open projects are about inspiring innovation. I'm sure how many of you are developers? I didn't ask. Anybody here a Moodle developer, done some Moodle development? Okay, wow, there's like 15 of you or something. So you can take open source software and build something new on top of it and innovate. A lot of you are taking Moodle and innovating and building your own learning platform for your institution. So the Moodle project right now is at an inflection point. So I started Moodle back in 1999. The first release was in 2001. The next day, someone downloaded it in Canada. And I was like, whoa. And 2002 was when Moodle 1.0 was released. So since that time, the Moodle project, I would say, has grown like this. Like pretty straight line. But we're at this point now where the environment has changed. The internet environment we live in has changed. And Moodle needs to do something a lot different to stay strong in the world where we have the Googles and the Microsofts and the Amazons and these very big companies taking control of parts of the internet. We need to be changing how we do things. And so I've been looking at the strategy of things for the last few years. We have a massive responsibility. This is the Moodle installations. We're just about to hit 100,000 registered sites, actually. How many people here have a Moodle site and have not registered? All right. Make it 100,000, please. Just push register. It's not hard. Some of you, maybe you have a lot of sites you've never registered. I know for a fact that a lot of people, even Moodle partners, a lot of them don't register all their client sites. So these are the minimum numbers that we have. All right? There's many more Moodle sites out there. This was an analysis we did by population. So the country that has the most Moodle sites by population is Andorra, which is very tiny. I think the whole population is like, 30,000 or something. But really, the biggest major country that uses Moodle is Spain. Spain is very, very intensive Moodle, like 90+% of everything runs on Moodle. So we have a big responsibility to improve for the sake of all the people on our software. And so we did this. Last year, I finally found an investor because I want to take Moodle to a new level. Okay? Very fast. And I was looking at investors and talking to people who have money. And generally, when software companies talk to people who have money, the conversation goes like this. Hello, I have a software company. It's pretty cool. And the investor goes, that's good. I don't really care what you do. How much money am I going to get back? And I go, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Goodbye. That's how the 50 conversations went. Until I met these people who were, it's a French family, and they invested in us under Education for the Many, but the family behind them actually run a huge world company called Decathlon. And that they make sports equipment. Are they in Manila? Yeah, okay. They're everywhere. So that's a company of 90,000 people who are all behind their mission of providing health for the many. So they make sports equipment because of health. They have a rule that says if we make more than 15% profit, we're doing something wrong. So we have to drop our prices. So they have a very ethical way of operating that I really liked. And they really liked us, and we became friends, and they said, okay, we'll invest in Moodle. So we now have a big brother who's helping us grow fast. And this is a good thing. So it's time to make Moodle amazing, or more amazing. Someone corrected me last time I showed this slide. So we've been having a lot of strategic meetings, deciding what we're going to do for the past 6 months. This is the team leads in Moodle HQ. That guy on the end is Tom Murdoch. He started Moodle Rooms. If you were ever on the Moodle forums, you'd know Tom Murdoch quite well. There's Steve Watt, also used to be at a Moodle partner in Australia. And this is the team. So we've come up with 8 goals, and I want to share with you the 8 goals of the Moodle project so you can understand where our mind's at and what we're working on. So number 1, I've just been talking about quality education, okay? Our number 1 goal, our social purpose, is to improve the quality of teaching practice. So we know that one of the biggest problems around Moodle and around internet technology is that people don't know how to use it well. They don't have the training. They don't have the experience. Most people teaching did not learn online, so they don't really have that experience. It's totally understandable. We know that there's some statistics from a couple of years ago that said 57% of people, faculty or educators in higher education, know they would be more effective if they had more skills, and that almost all of them are not happy with their training. So we've had the MCCC for quite a long time, the Moodle Course Creator Certificate, which was a fairly basic certificate that took people through the tools of Moodle. But what we've built now is a curriculum to learn to teach online. So it's much more than what Moodle tools are. It's like how to be an educator in 2018. So it includes the tools, but it also talks about the pedagogies. How do you structure a course effectively? What are techniques that work? It also covers where do you get content? Where do you get information? Where do you find resources? It also talks about your professional development as an educator. How do you keep learning yourself? How do you connect with communities to become a better and better teacher? And things like that. So it's like a whole how to be an online educator curriculum. And we're building this as a worldwide curriculum. It has certifications as well. So you can get a Moodle Educator Certificate. We're connecting it. It'll be accredited in many countries around the world as a university level accreditation. And we're delivering it through Moodle partners as well. So we have some quality control over the whole system to make it a really global thing. So this is one initiative we're taking. It's aligned with several frameworks. This is a framework called DigiComp Edu, which was recently finalized in Europe. And these are the 22 major competencies. Now, you probably can't read it, but this is what I was just saying. There's professional engagement, digital resources, assessment, teaching and learning, empowering learners, and facilitating learners' digital competencies. So every teacher should be thinking, how can I make my students good at technology? In every course, in engineering, in English, in history. How can I make my students competent digitally? That'll help them be ongoing learners, yeah? So our courses are very aligned to this and some other ones too. The other project about quality is that we need to understand what quality is. We need to measure it. And this is an open question that I'm giving to the community. I want us as a community to decide what are some good ways to measure quality so that we can start measuring. We want to be able to say, ideally, that this was the quality first, and then we had Moodle with some Learn Moodle going on, some training, and that over here, this is the new quality. It's gone up. We want to show that Moodle has improved quality, because otherwise, what are we here for, right? This is the mission. So this is an open question. There is a lot of research around it in the education world, but we want to bring that down to something we can measure. So if you've got ideas on this, come and see me. All right, goal number 2. out of 8. Remember, there was 8. So we want Moodle to improve our reach worldwide. So Moodle Core has 155 language packs, which is very high for a software package. Software doesn't normally have so many translations. And that's because a very long time ago, I built a whole translation system, and a lot of people in the community have been using it and making translations. Moodle Docs has been started in 13 languages, which is pretty good for documentation. But our press releases, our Moodle.com stuff, our social media, our release notes for the software, they're mostly all still in English. And I've always felt bad about that. We just didn't really have the resources to do it better. But we're working to get rid of that problem. I want Moodle to really function as a multi-language, multilingual company. So that's another thing we're doing. And this is where our staff are in the world. The Moodle HQ team members are here. And a lot of us are in Perth, but some people are working from home all over the world. But the office in Barcelona is our big focus. We're building up that office in Barcelona. It's going to be the center of Moodle, I would predict, in the future. It's a lot easier, it's a bit more central in the world where a lot of the Moodle action is. So there's a lot of stuff happening in Europe. And speaking Spanish will help you all through South America. So those people can also work in South America. And there's a lot of Spanish in the Philippines too, I believe. Yeah, so we're actually opening up more as the company grows, and I think Cheryl said 45, but that's old information because it's more like it's nearly 70 and growing. As we grow, we're opening up more and more Moodle permanent offices around the place. And we're also being much more active now about partnerships with other organizations that think like we do, that make a difference. So the United Nations uses Moodle in 12 different departments. If you want to get a security certificate, if you're working for the UN and you're going to Afghanistan, you need to have a security certificate. And this is a Moodle course. So they use it for lots of things like that. UNESCO is even more relevant to us because they really focus on the cultural and the education aspects. NGOs like Save the Children, we're working on some projects with them, World Vision, etc. This is something we're doing more consciously now, actually looking for these and building partnerships, because that's how we can have more impact and be a better project. The last thing is we're starting a Moodle Foundation, and the Moodle Foundation is very focused on research and development. So particularly research partnerships in Europe, because there is a lot of funding in Europe around this stuff, and a lot of people, like universities, will get grants to work on education technology projects, and they will use Moodle very often to do that, and we're not involved. And after 3 years, the grant funding is finished, and the project dies, because they don't think about maintenance or long-term effects. And this is a really big shame. I feel terrible that all these millions of dollars went into supporting salaries of academics, which is fine, but that the stuff they produced then just never comes back. It never gets into the community. So we have to be involved in these things and argue that if you're going to spend millions of dollars making software, make it for the project so that everybody can benefit. Goal number 3. This is now our cultural. We've got 2 cultural goals. Those are our social purpose goals. These are the cultural ones. So it's very important when you have an organization that people feel good working there, because that drives everything. So a lot of you'll work in organizations, and organizations have their problems. Work is not always fun. We want people in Moodle HQ to really believe in these 5 values. They have to be part of our DNA, part of the culture of being in the Moodle project. We have a lot of things that we're doing to make people part of the Moodle project. If you work at Moodle, that you have like shares in the company and things like that, you have a lot of influence. Our management style is less and less top-down and more bottom-up. So we want more innovation, which is one of our values, to be coming from the teams and people owning pieces of our everything we're doing. So we're going through this process. Our companies, every year, we get like evaluated by Great Place to Work. And our goal is to make sure that these numbers go up and up and up. This is basically surveying all of the team members. Our other big cultural goal is connections within the community. So we've had Moodle.org as one of the oldest Moodle sites in the world. I think it's the second or third oldest. This is a Moodle site at Moodle.org. It's been running continuously since 2001. And it's gone through all the Moodle upgrades. And you can imagine now, it's got 2 million users on it. And it's a pretty big site. It's done okay. It's good. I think in the past, my decision to deliberately put the users and the developers in the same place was a really good decision. The users had to talk to developers, the developers had to talk to users, and there was a lot more activity going on, and cross-pollination. We also have this in the community, the Moodle Users Association. So this is I started this a couple of years ago. I'm not involved. It's a separate association. They run themselves. And if you're a member, you put money in, and the membership then discuss what to do with it. And what they can do with it is make new features in Moodle Core. So they decide some new things they want in Moodle Core, and they pay for it. The other community thing we have now is a lot of MoodleMoots, and we're at a MoodleMoot now, so you know what they are. These are the locations of the MoodleMoots, the bigger ones, happening this year. You can see there's a new one happening in the Philippines, of course. There's a new one in South Africa. And I just got back from the one in Germany and the one in the UK. There's one in Brisbane happening a bit later, etc. So these are chances for all of us to get together, because most of us in our institution, we're the only one, right? We're the Moodle person. Or maybe there's a small team. You have a small team of Moodle people in your own organization. It's really good to meet all the other people who are just like you, who have the same problems, who have the same thoughts, and maybe get together and work on things. So these are things we already had. But Moodle.org has a problem. Moodle.org is a Moodle site. And it's been good in the past, but it's too big for that now. And the world doesn't operate that way so much anymore. It's not very easy to use the Moodle forums with lots of other people. It's like we want to use this, right? Now we're all on WhatsApp and Telegram and Facebook Messenger and Viber, and like we're all on the chat world, right? That's how we get. But Moodle.org doesn't work like that. So we have to rethink how our community talks to each other. Actually, can I have a quick poll? How many people here use WhatsApp as their primary messenger, the one they prefer? Nobody. Viber? A few. Facebook? Oh, this is a Facebook country. Telegram? A few people on Telegram. Something else? Have I forgotten something? Weibo? What's the other Chinese one? Yeah, WeChat. Anyone on WeChat? A few WeChatters? Okay. It's quite distributed. I suggested to Cheryl that maybe we should all get in a group online by the end of the day so we can continue the conversation tomorrow. Anyway, If this was ready, I would say get into this, because what this is that. It is a fast-paced community platform, a new social media platform that we're building now from scratch. It's going to replace the Moodle.org forums. It's going to replace the MoodleMoot app. It'll be all the major communications in Moodle will happen here. And it's integrated with your Moodle site, if you want it to be. You can flick a switch off. And it's got two major purposes. One is for communication and professional development. So all of us can find the people who are like us and talk and share and continue the conversation at Moots for the rest of the year in all languages. So that's like the chat part, the feeds part. The second part is about content. So it's about sharing and building content. So these groups will be getting together and building Creative Commons licensed content for each other. And we're not expecting people to build things for free. There's an economy in here. We want people to be paid to build content. And how do we do that? We do that by kind of a crowdfunding mechanism. So if you're a teacher teaching, I don't know, maybe teaching French in the Philippines or something, right? Go, okay, I need it needs something very specific. But maybe there's 10 or 20 other people who have the same need. So you find each other through the platform, and somebody says, you know, I can build this, but I'm going to be spending my weekends, I'm going to be away from my family, you know, I think it should cost this much. And everybody can then easily put their money together and make that happen. And then everybody owns the content. And then the content lives on the platform forever. And from then on, it's free. Anybody can get it for free. So that's one mechanism. We got a lot of ideas about how to make this happen, but I think we've got a chance here to make something really great. As well as the public conversation and resource updates, if you need services, if you need help with something, you'll also be finding Moodle partners in there, and all the services you need. That's how you find them. And I would love to see the day when, instead of sitting on your phone scrolling through pictures of your cousin's dog doing a trick into a pool, that you're actually looking through something more relevant to your work. That you're actually going, oh, this is interesting. Oh, this is going to make my life easier. This will be good. And then when you find them, you don't share them to your friends necessarily. You can share it to your course. You share it to your Moodle. And you find a great new resource, you just push it into your course from your phone. So that's the dream. And that's what we're working on. We're just having a very big first design sprint in London in 3 or 4 weeks. This is being run by, so I've hired Doug Belshaw, who's quite well known online. He's a great communicator. He's leading this project. So goal number 5. I've got to keep a slight eye on the time. Not sure when we started, so got 4 to go. So number 5 is we want Moodle to be feature competitive. Moodle, you should be choosing Moodle not because it's an open source, amazing, awesome, fantastic project, which it is, but you should be choosing it because it is simply the best software. It should have the best tools. It should be the best usability of the interface, and we all know there's a lot of work to do. So let me talk about what we've been doing lately and what's happening next. So Moodle 3.4 was the last release. There were some things like a new calendar, drag and drop. There's a new participants page. These are fairly incremental improvements, smaller things, but necessary things. That combines all the participant stuff into one tool. The Moodle Analytics landed in core. So And I should explain with the analytics that what we're trying to build here is not the ultimate artificial intelligence that's going to help you with your courses. Well, we are, but we haven't got it yet. There are many ways to approach that problem. And what we want in the end is we want Moodle to be helping us, an assistant, like your own secretary, basically, so that as a teacher, you have a computer-aided teaching, and as a student, you have computer-aided learning, where Moodle is like another person almost in the conversation. You've got the student, lots of students, the educators, and Moodle. And Moodle's looking at the data and making little suggestions, right? So it's another assistant in the system. It's very hard to build that from scratch. So what we've built is a framework, a low-level framework with lots of plugins that let the community experiment and do research in this area. What the framework does, it's very good at collecting data from Moodle efficiently. It can put them through models. You can write models. The models go through a neural net, like a brain, a software brain. And the software brain processes the data and comes up with insights. And those insights, you can plug them and make them do things. Send a message or change something, delete something, make something, whatever you want. So this is a very generic framework, but it allows a lot of researchers to start solving this issue. So if you take your Moodle 3.4 and try and use it just like through the interface, what you'll find is it only has one model, which is tell me about students who might drop out. It's the simplest model. A lot of people want to see that model though, so we started there, and it's an example model. There are many, many other possible models we can create. So is anybody here interested in analytics? Okay, quite a lot of you. All right, cool. So, I think what we're building for the future here, and we want you to help. 3.4 was the first time that the Moodle mobile app got to 100% functionality for students. So this was a big milestone. The last few years, we've been working at getting all of the Moodle functionality, the Moodle core functionality, onto mobile. So students don't have to use anything else now. Except if you have taken advantage of Moodle's flexibility to have new plugins and extensions, then you find those don't always work on mobile very well. Some of them will. What it does is it goes to the web, and it does it through the web, but it's not ideal. So the next stage is implementing support for all third-party plugins as well. And we've come up with a new way of doing this, so it's much easier for programmers than it was in the past to implement that support for their plugins. And then those plugins will have the same features that everything else does. So the Moodle mobile app is very good at, firstly, being on a small screen, and secondly, it works offline. So you can connect, download your courses, get on a boat. Got a lot of boats in the Philippines. Get on a boat, you don't have internet anymore, you can still be studying. I would probably get seasick, but So, but the point is we want, the Moodle mobile app is very, very good for places with bad internet, like Australia, like most of the world actually. So, 100% support for the core features. We also, last year, introduced this branded Moodle mobile app. So we have a service now, and many institutions have taken this up. If you want your students to look into the app stores, Google Play or Apple Store, and see your institution, then we have the solution for you. The Moodle mobile app can be branded with your brand, your name. It's in the store. The students download it, run it, It connects directly to your Moodle site and just works. There is a simplified login, so they don't have to put the URL of the site or even know it. It just connects, and it gets updated every 2 months. It's about, I don't know how these prices look here. Sorry, this slide, I put it to pounds because the last place I was in the UK. So it's about 5,000 Australian dollars, which is like 3,500 US dollars. I don't know what that is here in pesos. But it's a lot cheaper than trying to build this app yourself. We also have a desktop version. So it's the same thing as the app, but it runs on Macs and Windows and Linux, and it also works offline. This is very popular with people who use Moodle in prisons, in defense, people who are working on ships, like oil miners and things like that. A lot of people got no internet when they have to be learning, so the desktop app works really well. We also, last year, we have a new lead open source coordinator. So there was no single person before who was in charge of the Moodle open source code, except for me, pretty much. And I'm busy with many, many things. So now we have someone dedicated to this, Sonder Bangma. So you'll be seeing him around a bit more in future. He's the guy who's organizing every release of the Moodle core code. Great guy. He's Dutch. He's about this tall. He's really learning Moodle very, very fast right now. And we also changed how we do things internally. In the last few years, the whole team was responsible for the whole product. And everybody could work on a bug over here, or over here, or over here. Now, this was good for, if somebody left, we wouldn't lose them. We wouldn't lose much knowledge. However, nobody owned the software. So now we've switched to people owning components. There is a guy who owns the forum module. He has to feel it. He has to feel the pain. He has to want to fix the problems because he owns the forum module. So that's something we've changed recently. Moodle 3.5, the big things we're working on right now for release in about 2 or 3 weeks is privacy compliance, so the general data protection regulation in Europe. There's been a lot of features around that. There's some question bank tagging, which is a feature that comes from the Moodle Users Association. We've upgraded all the themes to Bootstrap 4. And there's improvements to the dashboard interface, still following up from the changes about a year ago. So very quickly, this is what the policy stuff looks like. So you can make up any policies you want, and the students basically have to see them and agree. And so you can see them here appearing on the bottom of the page. There's a little pop-up that slides up and says, here's the policies. And you look at the policies as a student, you're supposed to read them, and you go next. I think I've skipped one, actually. Yeah, anyway, you read the policies, and then you agree to them. And all the agreements are recorded, they're logged. So as a student, you can see what policies you've agreed to. If the administrator updates a policy, it automatically forces everybody to agree again. They have to see it again and update to the new version. Students can also contact the data privacy officer, data protection officer, because through the system they can say, I want all my data, or I have a problem. And Moodle has a system of notifications to that person, full records, and that person can answer all those questions. It's very important in Europe because Europe are making it a law with big fines, and a lot of people are fixing this stuff. I love this law. I think it's a really good thing. It's super hard for software to implement it, but it's exactly why we need this legislation, because we have to do this work. All of us would love to just pull out of a system. go, okay, I don't want to be in Facebook anymore. Just get me out of Facebook. Turns out that's not possible right now. Okay, you cannot get out of Facebook. They own your stuff forever. But this law is forcing them to fix that, etc., etc. The Moodle mobile app is a much nicer interface. It's this new mechanism for non-call plugins. And you can see it looks pretty cool now, the mobile app. So that's kind of what you want your students using, something modern looking and fresh. And the new mobile app is coming with 3.5 is pretty sweet. From now on, next few releases, we're working on whatever universities are most asking for. And this sounds generic, but we're really focusing on universities here. We're focusing on the people. When a university puts out a tender and they say, we want a system that does this, 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 and this, we have to say yes, 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 yes. So we're analyzing these RFPs, the requests for proposals from universities, and we're focusing on those. Because it's such a shame for Moodle to not be selected because it's missing one or two little things. Generally, these things are about usability, they're about standards, they're about integrations, they're about support across all devices, and the last bit, an active participant in learning, that's the analytics part. All right, I better move on, I'm not sure of my time, but number 6, Moodle services around the world. So all of our Moodle services are done by Moodle partners. And we love our Moodle partners. The Moodle partners are the ones who have been paying for the entire Moodle project since the beginning. We have some plans to improve our support of partners, to give them more information and more tools and more support. We also have some plans to improve Moodle Cloud as part of the ecosystem. And we're also building up our ability to deal with large commercial projects. So our Moodle partners, Nafila Web Technology, thank you for the team for putting this Moot together, so thank you very much. Moodle Rooms are also here in the Philippines, another one of our Moodle partners. We have about 90 around the world. Oh, well, Stuart's here as well. He's just left. Stuart's in New Zealand. He's at the back. The Moodle partners are such a diverse range of companies doing all sorts of different things. And we would like it that it's about quality. We want the quality of the services people get to be high. And it already is high. We already have a certification program that Nafila just went through last year, so they know it can be a lot of checking and looking at them. And we, was it last year or the year before? 2 years ago, yeah. Gosh, that's gone quickly. And we're working on these things a lot. With Moodle Cloud, we have 25,000 small Moodle sites on Moodle Cloud. We just took away the ads. We had some ads. I never liked the ads. I never wanted the ads. We thought we'd put them in there, try and make it pay a bit more for itself. I hate ads too much. So we got rid of the ads. In the near future, we're working on some sector-specific packages. So Moodle solutions for very particular sectors, and integrating it with other SaaS systems. Won't go too much into that now. So number 7, our other second last goal is to improve how we sell. Now, sell in the open word is a bad word normally, right? But it's marketing. Really, we want to talk about how do we talk about Moodle? How do people even know about Moodle, or what it does, can do, or how they can get help from partners, etc. So one of the projects we're doing now is that all of our products are going to tell you about our other products. So a very simple example is if you heard about Moodle, imagine you'd never heard about Moodle before, and then you just heard about it at some other conference, and you went, okay, Moodle, all right, I'll go to the App Store, because that's where you get all your software from, and you go to the App Store, and you download Moodle. You go, Moodle, the Moodle mobile, that's probably it. You launch it, and it says, what's the URL of your Moodle site? And you go, I don't know. I just found this thing, I don't know. That app should be saying, do you need a Moodle site? And start telling you how to get a Moodle site. It's a very simple example, right? But there are about 20 or 30 of these things that all the things we have should be helping you know about the other things. So that's a simple way we can actually educate people about what's available. We also want to improve our marketing. We don't spend a lot of money on marketing because people want us to be spending it on code, of course. But now we have a little bit more money. We can spend more time being at conferences, talking, and not Moodle conferences only, other conferences. So I've been going more to, I was just at Open Education Global in the Netherlands. I was at IEEE, the education conference in Kuala Lumpur. We go to EduCause, we go to EduTech, and when you go there, if you ever go to these big conferences, you're going to start seeing an orange Moodle presence at these places. So it's not all about Canvas and Blackboard and blah, 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 that Moodle is there. So Moodle was always there, it just wasn't there. So we're going to be focusing on making sure Moodle is in the same places where everywhere else. And I think as a Moodle user, it doesn't feel very good when you go to a big conference and you don't see Moodle there. You know, you feel like, oh, you know. So that's one thing. Lastly, Moodle, we're getting it more integrated with key marketplaces and services. So there are things like Authentica or Salesforce. You know, say you're a company and you are using Salesforce for your customer relations, right? Salesforce is a big CRM system. And then you think, hey, our company now is about 50 people. We need some education in my company. You know, where am I going to find how am I going to find a tool to help educate the team, the staff in my company? Well, on the Salesforce, they have a marketplace. And there's a section for e-learning. And there's no Moodle in there. Why is there no Moodle in there? Because we didn't put one in there. So we have to start putting the Moodle logo in lots of places around the internet like that so that you have these integrations. All right, number 8. I said that we have been growing like this and that I got this investment to take us like that. But the goal is not to rely on investors. The goal is to be sustainable. Everything needs to be sustainable in this world. A tree is sustainable, right? Because it balances its inputs and outputs and it becomes a sustainable being. And everything in the world should be designed like that. We have sustainable development goals for this purpose. Everything should be sustainable. Here's a very scary statistic. And I hate picking on them all the time, but I'm going to. The US has 5% of the world's population, right? But they consume 30% of the world's resources. That is a model. The way that culture runs, that model is not sustainable. Everybody cannot copy the US. If everybody tries to copy the US, we don't have enough resources in the world. It's just not a sustainable model. And sure, you know, in a wealthy country, yeah, you've got everything. You've got cheap fuel, you've got food from around the world, you've got cheap products, etc. But at a cost. And the cost is to the whole world. So sustainability is what we have to be fighting for. So we're working, all these things we're building, and that's why I can talk about money and sales and things, because even an open project like Moodle needs to be sustainable. The economy of Moodle needs to be a ship that floats on the ocean. Because I would love projects like Moodle to be around for 10, 50 years, 100 years, 500 years. Why not? Right? So we have to be thinking sustainability. So that's our 8 goals. And I should wrap up. But these are what we're working on. So we're quite busy. Goodness, that sounds like a lot. How can I possibly help? I can hear you say. Well, get a Moodle mobile app. That's an easy one. It makes your institution look really good. It helps our project. You'll be probably talking to Nafila Webb who'll help you get on board. But you can start with us at Moodle.com and we'll get you going. You can help guide the roadmap of Moodle. One easy way is to join the Moodle Users Association, to become a member. There are various levels of membership, starting from very, very cheap to more expensive. The expensive levels of membership have more influence. So you buy influence. But you can still be involved for peanuts if you want. Use Moodle for research. Do we have any researchers here? Is anybody a researcher doing research or involved? Got students, okay, a few people, some not sure. Moodle is a great platform for research. It's open, you've got all this amazing amounts of data. And if you create a project in Moodle, you can share it around the world and get more data. Are you involved in grant funding and it's Moodle related? Just let us know. Maybe we can help, you know. Do you need a quick, small Moodle site? Then use Moodle Cloud. It's the best thing to be using. We put a lot of effort into making this system work well. We're improving it all the time. If you need any services, talk to your Moodle partner. You can get, other people will provide Moodle services, but they're not helping the project. The Moodle partners are paying 10% of everything they get to the Moodle project to be Moodle partners. If you've got good ideas about anything I've talked to you about today, if any of it resonated with you, just come and grab me now while I'm here today, or contact me. I've got my email at the end. Maybe you want to join our team. We are hiring. We have quite a lot of job ads up. So we're looking for people with skills who believe in the mission. And I just want to end up that supporting open practices, coming to this conference, being part of the Moodle community, you are helping support UN sustainability goals. Right? We are a project really more and more strongly oriented this way. And I think this is one way we can work together to help. Because in the end, this is what we want to build. This is the next generation. The next generation should look like that. And all of us need to work together to do that. So I'll finish there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Martin, please stay on stage. Thank you first for the incredible insights that you've given us this morning and for the update on what's happening in Moodle. All right. I'm sure the audience has 1,001 questions, and with your invitation, maybe more than 100 job applications. All right. At this point in time, may we call back our session chair for MoodleMoot Philippines, Dr. Sandy Flor, to join Martin on stage, please.
Hey. Oh, we're going to sit down? All right. Ooh. Yeah. That's good.
I'll exercise my prerogative as the session chair to ask the first question. Okay. Now, Martin, you solicited our ideas a while back regarding quality, how it should be ensured.
Yeah.
Now, many of us, we had this conversation on the way to Manila Hotel, my vice chancellor and myself. And, quality is defined as your goals, your mission, vision is reflected down to your end product, correct? Now, many of us who had exposure in Moodle are so excited about the platform that you made available that we're focusing more on, all the different possibilities in development as well as in teaching, forgetting about these other things such as your goals and values. As a matter of fact, this is the first time that we've actually heard them. Now, if we're very concerned about quality, then how do we ensure that the goals and values of Moodle be reflected in all of its services and products? How do we ensure that the members of the Moodle community, developers, users, this would be teaching editors or even course managers, embrace these values and the sustainability concerns that you expressed?
How?
Is
Well-
MoodleNet the answer?
Yeah, I think the plans we have will help with that. I'm going to upset the video guy now. I think that's our best attempt so far to try and solve those. A lot of it is about communication and broadening people's context. If you understand that what you're doing here affects the world there, then I think that connection comes through. So I hope, I wish. But look, in general, I must say, the quality of people at Moodle conferences is very high. They're very cool people.
Yeah.
Like, because we're already finding each other through the Moodle project. It's the people who are interested in education, but also active, and they believe in software as a part of that problem. And they're willing to try it and build and experiment and do action research. Those are the kind of people who will spread that word. Yeah.
And it's very encouraging for us to hear you say that because, tell you something. My calling card says that I am a professor and a UP scientist. If I am true to the second title, then I have to shun certain words such as creation, because I would relate that to creation would be a function of God. But with all apologies to the religious in the hall, you know. Martin, you created our world, our teaching and learning world for the past 10 years. And I'm sure that the people in Table 11 share this feeling with me, that you being here, we are in the presence of a God.
Oh, come on now. Stop that.
Not
No,
kidding.
seriously.
Not
no,
kidding.
No. I'm a scientist too, okay? I'm operating on the inputs. I'm building. A lot of what's cool about this is the internet. And the internet itself is built on so many layers and layers. And Moodle is another layer in there. I'm a problem solver, so I solved some things, but I'm part of the whole ecosystem like everyone.
Right.
So I don't want to hear that.
Well,
Please.
actually, my point is, ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to talk to God, this is your opportunity. There's a microphone here. Please ask your questions. We have a couple of, time for a couple of questions, please. Or are you still in awe?
Just Martin, please.
Yeah.
Call me Martin.
Yes. Questions for Martin. Yes, Table 11, I know that you've been itching to, sorry to put you on the spot, but then,
Come on.
yes.
Break the ice.
Okay.
You can
Yes,
do it.
Chancellor Mel.
Come on here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Actually, I'm not supposed to be asking questions now because I will have that opportunity later today. Okay, but there's one exciting thing about your presentation. It's about the future generation of Moodle, wherein analytics is the focus. UP Open University is very much interested in analytics, especially in learning analytics. We've been looking into the current feature of analytics now in the current version of Moodle that we are using. But what excites us more, and that's what my colleague was telling me earlier during your presentation, is that it's not only the students' activity that will be tracked by the analytics feature, but it's also the teachers' activities. So that will be very useful to us.
Yes.
For administrators of Open University who want to monitor also the activities of our faculty members.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I agree. For
yeah.
me, that's almost the biggest part. Like I want a teacher to get a message on their phone, and it says, excuse me, hang on. Something important is happening in my course right now. I should log into this place and have some input on this discussion. Click, and you're there.
Yeah.
Like it's an assistant, just reminding you, prompting you, saying, hey, remember, you've still got 100 assignments to grade, things like that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And then, Sir Sandy, if I may continue, there's... I actually forgot what.
Oh, sorry.
Later...
Analytics, you were talking about
Yeah,
analytics?
I was talking about analytics, about teachers' activity.
Yeah.
What else? The values that Moodle is advocating.
Yes.
If we may add to that openness thing, it's about sharing.
Yes.
Because that's what keeps the community, the Moodle community alive. So
Yeah.
one of the values that we may want to add to Moodle is about sharing in addition to openness.
Openness.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. It's a good point. I include that in openness, but it's true.
Other questions? Other questions? While you are still framing your questions, this thing about MoodleNet, Martin.
Yeah.
Some of the developers here in the Philippines, they have their own Moodle discussion groups in Facebook. Now with this new development, we could join the worldwide community insofar as the dialogue is concerned.
Yeah.
And we could have mentors from your ideas people from the headquarters, right?
Yeah. Look, for the developers, there is a Telegram chat. So it says 300 developers in it or something. So do a bit of a search for Moodle developer Telegram. You should find the chat and you can come in there. So this exists now, but yeah, MoodleNet is where eventually we're going to move it all to. We don't really want to be on 50 other platforms. We want to have our own platform that is specific for us.
Right. I believe that there's a question from Table 4, our colleagues from the University of Santo Tomas. You were writing something? Please go ahead, ma'am. Yeah. Don't be shy.
Come on.
Sir,
Come on.
sir, please.
Come on. No? All right, maybe during the break. Oh, yes.
Morning, Martin. I'm interested in how you put metrics in quality, because essentially we have to measure quality. What metrics are you using in your own internal organization?
Well, what measures are we using for our organization? Yeah, what metrics? Oh, we have a lot. Every project has its own metrics. So MoodleNet, one of its metrics is how many people will be using it, but it doesn't exist yet, so we don't have them yet. Moodle Cloud, we have some satisfaction, user satisfaction. So that's something that's very commonly used by the Silicon Valley.coms, and you'll often see it pop up is like, how likely would you be to recommend this to your colleagues or friends? Yeah? This is called the NPS score. NPS, I think. So it's a satisfaction score, because if you're going to recommend it to your friends, then you must be happy with it. So a lot of our tools will have, will ask you how satisfied you are, and we're bringing that into everything. We're also tracking things like bugs, how many bugs are reported, how many issues are fixed in the open source development side of things. We're also looking at how many times Moodle is selected over other platforms when we have that data. We track the number of registered users for like pure usage, so etc. Lots and lots of measures. Now, back to quality of teaching, we don't have one. There isn't one. And that's the problem, because this is our number one thing. So like, that's why it's an open question. We need help with that. And you could say to a teacher, are you satisfied? Would you recommend Moodle to your colleagues? That's an indirect measure of quality that I don't think is enough. And I think we have to think more about what we do. So maybe you can help if you have some ideas. Thank you.
Yeah. A question from our developer colleagues. I see Professor Ryan Azur over there. Yes. Could you please... You have a question for Mr. Dougiamas?
Martin,
No?
please. Just call me Martin.
Martin? Martin? No question?
No.
Okay. Yes, Professor Librero of the UP Open University.
Sorry. Good morning, Martin. My name is Al, and I'm from the UP Open University.
Hi.
And I would like to thank my boss on the stage as well for putting us on the spot here. Yesterday, we're having a discussion because I think one of the slides in Stuart's presentation got me interested, because we have this on the percentage of users making use of the the different versions of Moodle.
Yes.
And I was a little surprised to see that the majority in that pie chart is made up of users of Moodle, the latest version of 3.4. What made me interested is that we had this prevailing practice that we hold back because the entire table 11 got excited earlier when we were showing the features for Moodle 3.4 and the future versions of 3.5 and the open-endedness of 3.6.
Yeah.
So, and my initial reaction was, oh my God, I might have to hold these people back when they start asking me if we can upgrade to the latest versions, because we have this prevailing practice that we hold back a bit. Right now, the UP Open University is making use of Moodle 3.2, and we are often advised to wait a little bit before we do the upgrade.
Right.
So I would like to know your position on the matter, and whether or not you would advise us to go ahead and make use of the latest versions.
Look, I would recommend not being more than 1 year behind, because there is all these exciting new things, and you will need recent versions usually. We do support 3 versions back, so that's 1.5 years back with bug fixes. But after that, we don't. And then you're left on your own. If there's a security issue, you might not be fixed. I would say 1 year is good. I know a lot of people do this. There's 2 big reasons why people stay behind. One is they don't trust our quality assurance process. And I have to say, we've spent more and more effort every year improving the QA process of a release. We use the whole community doing testing. There's a lot of more and more automated testing. We have robots running across Moodle every day, just searching for bugs all the time. Quite big systems doing this stuff. Developers have to write unit tests. The front-end people have to write BHAT tests, and there's a lot of stuff going on there. It's very hard to get new code into Moodle now. It has to go through 3 different reviews. And the final review, these are like the best developers we have, the integration team. And at the end only, they're the ones who actually decide where the code gets into Moodle. We've also learned from mistakes in the past. There's been sometimes in the past, things have got into Moodle that we didn't realize was going to be a performance problem, perhaps, because we aren't regularly testing with 30,000 students. And so sometimes those things have sneaked in, but we're getting much, much better at looking for those, and everyone's aware. We hate it when that happens. So I would say you can trust a recent release quite well. But the second reason people don't upgrade is that it takes some time to upgrade, because you have all your own plugins, you have all your own changes, you have your own content and your processes and workflows, and a big institution, they can't just upgrade software in the middle of term or something. It can take months. And I think normally it does take months for a university. So, even if when the release comes out, even if you started that process immediately, you still might be 6 months before you actually upgrade. So that's fine. We have the 6 monthly releases because we want to have a fairly good recent release for the North Hemisphere and the South Hemisphere. In the North Hemisphere, actually, I'm not even sure where we are. Are we in the North what's your school year? When does the school year start here? When?
September, August.
September. Okay, so you're like the North Hemisphere, American European system. So your big holidays in the middle of the calendar year. Yeah, right? Yeah. Okay. But in the South Hemisphere, we follow the calendar year. So our big holiday is around Christmas time, and that's when it's summer in Australia. And then we have so it's 6 months off. So that's why we have that cycle.
Okay, so
Long answer, I'm sorry.
my dear colleagues, we will have lots of opportunities to hear Martin's ideas later this afternoon in a one-on-one interview with our Chancellor. And I'm sure that he will welcome your questions. If you could you be approached anytime during the...
Anytime, that's why I'm
Yes,
here.
yes, that's
Just
correct.
come up, give me a hug, we'll do some disco dancing, and then we'll talk.
So, let's show our appreciation to Martin with a
All right,
very
thank you.
round of applause. Thank you very much.